Well, not much to say on my part. I'm just really, really excited to be here. Really grateful for the opportunity to coach Pope and Nick Robinson, Cody Feger. Big believer in those guys. I'm a big believer in this community, in this athletic program, what they've built here as a basketball program, the success they've had in the past 3 years. It's just a huge thrill for me. Some of the players standing in the back, can't wait to work with those guys. Just really, really excited to be a part of this thing and hope to compete for championships in the near future. That's what this place is about. Obviously it's unique in its standards and what they demand of their student athletes and their staff, and I think that makes it a little bit more special. I think when you can do those things and combine that with the goal of competing for championships, it makes it a really unique place, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Question?
Yeah, Coach, Alex Ahar, Salt Lake Tribune.
How you doing?
What would you say is your recruiting secret sauce? Some of the things that you've learned kind of throughout the years.
Yeah, it's certainly not a secret sauce at all. I try to work really hard at it, and try to be really honest with everybody I deal with, right? Whether it's the player, his coach, his parents, his circle. Everybody's going to know exactly where I stand, exactly where our staff stands, what BYU basketball is about, what's real here. I had the same conversation when I got introduced actually at Louisville, where I'm not trying to present a situation that doesn't exist. They're going to know exactly what BYU stands for, what's important to us, the kind of people they're trying to bring into this program, and we're going to adhere to that. So they're going to feel really, really comfortable with what I'm about and what the program is about, and I'm going to work really, really hard at it. I'm going to, uncover every rock. Near and far here in Utah locally, there's some terrific players here. Obviously abroad, they've had tremendous success here in this program. So I'll do whatever I can to continue that recruiting success they've already built.
What do you think you can add to the program as they move into the Big 12, having come from a power conference?
Well, that's been talked about quite a bit, and to be honest with you, Coach Pope, Coach Feger, Coach Robinson, they've done a tremendous job. They're really good coaches. That's a big reason why I'm here in the first place. I'm a huge believer in what they've accomplished and what they're about. Really, if I could just add to that, just a little bit of experience at the ACC level, the power conference level, just kind of what that looks like night in, night out. The recruiting aspects, it's a war. You know what I mean? Especially now with NIL and everything that goes into that. So maybe if I could just lend a little experience in that regard, hopefully that could help and things like that. But really, I'm going to be learning a lot from these guys. It's a tremendous staff. I'm really fortunate to be a part of it, man. I can't wait to work with them.
What attracted you to this job, and how long have you known Mark Pope?
I haven't known Coach Pope for very long, but the job itself, oddly enough, I started off as very much not a BYU fan. I was born in Hawaii, and my family were season ticket holders for UH football. So my earliest memories of like Ty Detmer and you guys kicking our behinds and things like that, and I was very much not a fan of BYU, but obviously a tremendous amount of respect for the athletic program here, football field here in basketball. And the community itself, it's very special. It's very unique. It's different. The standard that's upheld here, the tenets of not only the religion, but the community and the ability and the want to build people up around you, that's not like other places. That makes this place really, really unique and special, and that's always spoken to me. Where there's a scenario where a high tide rises all ships. We're all pulling in the same direction. We want everybody to be successful. That's huge for me. That's huge for my family. Those are the tenets that we live by. So that was a big part of me being attracted to the job.
You've worked in different parts of the country, coming from Louisville. You're a California high school guy, but why the Intermountain West? What do you think you can bring to this part of the country?
What can I bring to this part of the country?
Because you've been to the Northwest, you were at Portland State, you've been to Louisville. Can you recruit different parts of the country, you feel like, effectively coming now to the Intermountain West? Yeah,
I think so. I think if you look at our track record, some of the places I've been, we've had some really good success recruiting. So I certainly didn't know anybody in the Midwest when I moved to Louisville, but we were fortunate enough to get some recruits from Indiana and Kentucky and things like that. So I really try and make great efforts to build great relationships with the people I'm working with, and that includes high school recruits and their parents and their AAU coaches and everybody in between, like I mentioned earlier. So that's an absolute goal of mine. There's some terrific players in this region. Trey Stewart's a player over here from American Fork High School locally. That's obviously a great player, a state champion. And the more guys that we can bring to the fold like that, the better off we'll be. So that's going to be a huge priority for me.
Being a person who is, who is a person of color, a person who's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, how do you sort of feel like those kinds of things, those parts of your life are going to kind of meld with BYU, with the community?
Yeah, I mean, we're all in. My family and I are all in on it. It's a situation where it's not this jarring, shocking thing to us. It's tenets that are, preach honesty and integrity and things like that, and that's how we live our lives in our family. It's not like we're out drinking or partying or things like that. So none of this is out of the ordinary for us. We may not be official members of any religion or anything like that, but as far as how we live our lives and how we raise our family and our kids, that's very much in line with what we do. So beyond the religious aspect, I just think, like I mentioned earlier, the community is special to me. And I think the tight-knit nature of that is special to us as a family. And we're really, really looking forward to being a part of that and really helping that grow our family as well.
How did you find out about the opening here at BYU, and what attracted you to pursuing a spot on the coaching staff here?
Ooh, that's a great question, how I found out about the opening. I think, in this business, in college basketball coaching, there's just a constantly rotating, churning rumor mill, right? So Chris Burgess is a friend of mine. He was professional enough not to tell me that he was moving on. But just kind of reading tea leaves and looking into kind of what could happen, I thought there may be an opening and might be an opportunity here. And like I've mentioned a few times already, I just think it's just such a special place and it's such a special staff where it's an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So I really approached it with full force.
How would you describe the time you spent at Louisville, and maybe what did you learn from that experience?
Whew. It was, I was there for 4 years, so it certainly had its ups and downs. Obviously, the first 3 years were strong. It was challenging with COVID. Some of the social justice stuff was challenging as well, being in Louisville and in the heart of the Breonna Taylor situation. And then obviously this past season was really disappointing for us on the floor. With so many distractions going on with the program, the coaching staff, and federal investigation and stuff like that. So I learned quite a bit. There's so much to glean from that experience. I think for me, it's just continuing to put the players first, put winning first. Being the adults in the room and try to maximize, have our student athletes maximize their time on campus, right? Whether that's at Louisville, whether that's at BYU, or anywhere in between, anywhere I'm going to be, that's going to be the goal. And I never want that to be lost in distractions off the floor. So if there's one thing, I would say that's what I've taken away from it.
With how much you know about maybe some of the your players and the program in general, especially kind of knowing Chris Burgess, who was here for a few years, how well positioned do you think this program is kind of heading into the Big 12 in a year?
I think we're very well positioned. Yeah, that's a huge reason why I was excited about this job in the first place. I think, the way Coach Pope and Nick and Cody have recruited, and the way they're just so tenacious about it, their enthusiasm, their energy to do that, to recruit at a high level, to dive into recruiting battles with anybody and everybody, which is, it sounds, like that should be the case, but it's not always the case, right? People go after who they can get. They play it safe and things like that. But Coach Pope and Cody and Nick, they're going to go to war. And getting talent, getting local talent, getting international talent, they put such a huge emphasis on that. We're going to be a really talented team, not only this year, but moving forward. And I think when you have that to be really good at recruiting, and you have the acumen of some of the guys that I've talked about with Nick, Cody, and Coach Pope, I think we're going to be really, really well prepared to win games, whether it's in the Big 12 or beyond. So I'm thrilled about it.
You mentioned that you didn't really know Coach Pope much at all. What were those kind of initial conversations like? What did you guys connect on, either off the court or on the court?
Yeah, Coach Pope is a force of nature in a lot of ways, right? Like you're in a conversation with him, but it feels more than that, right? Like you're pinging off each other, you're bouncing ideas off each other. It's one of the more unique early relationships I've really had in this business. You know what I'm saying? Where I just have such a tremendous amount of respect for his basketball mind, but almost even more of that for his energy to be great and his competitive nature. And I think that really matches mine, and I think that's really where we saw eye to eye. Where I'm at a point, not only, with how I'm inherently built, but where I am in my career, we're just incredibly driven, and there's no other options other than win. Like that's it for me. Like all the other stuff, I don't care if it's Nike, I don't care if it's Adidas, I don't care if it's Tiddlywinks. Like I'm here to win, and I'm here to beat people. And I think Coach Pope matches that, and that's a huge thing for me.
You mentioned the Breonna Taylor situation. You've been outspoken in your beliefs on social justice and that type of stuff. We talked about the unique nature of BYU. Do you think you can meld those two things together, coming here as a coach? Yeah,
I think, not to contradict you, but I'm not sure how outspoken I've been per se. I think I participated in some marches, and we organized some marches with our team, which was really important to our players, and giving them that voice and giving them that platform. But it's not like I'm out, making bold proclamations on Twitter or anything like that, or making my stance public, other than being a part of a greater movement, which I found to be important, especially supporting our players and the same thing. So that meant a lot to me. As far as BYU, man, I think, it's obviously a unique situation. It's a unique place, like we talked about. But I couldn't feel, my family couldn't feel more supported in the time that we've been a part of this process. It's been unbelievable. It's really been touching in a lot of ways. And I think, it's an environment, and it's a community that's really welcomed us with open arms, man. That's really all I can ask for.
What's something that impressed you, or something you didn't know about the program that you learned throughout the interview process, getting to know
The basketball program
coaches?
itself?
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Pope and staff has kicked behind. They've been really, really good. This 3-year run here has been tremendous. And I think it's been some of the best in school history, and I think what they've accomplished on the floor. And unfortunately, they've been robbed of postseason play with COVID, like everybody else. But they've put some really, really good teams together. And sometimes when you're out in Louisville and you're out in the East and you're playing the ACC, you don't necessarily recognize some of that, which is such a classic East Coast bias, and I apologize for saying that, especially coming from high school in California. But it's one of those things that flies under the radar a little bit. But from a national perspective, they've been tremendous, and they're competing for championships every year. They're putting themselves in position to be right there at the end of this thing. And I think looking at that now that I'm here, like, my goodness, this is fantastic. So I think the success of the program. Another thing I would say is just their preparation is fantastic, and it's an elite level, whether it's analytics, whether that's scouting, whether that's anything in between. They're ready to go. Our guys are going to be ready to play and ready to win games. So that's been really fun to watch.
How do the facilities stack up here versus Louisville or other places you've seen out in the ACC?
The facilities are tremendous. It's very, very cool. They're every bit is an ACC facility, elite level national facility. I've been fortunate enough to be in a few, and this is right near the top with anybody in the country. It's new, it's modern, it's got a cool, nice feel. Obviously Nike helps, and it just looks dope, to be honest with you. So we're really fortunate to work in this environment. I was talking to Cody actually earlier about just, man, this place is cool. Like, it's cool to come to work here every day. It's cool to have an office that overlooks the court. It's cool to go out on the patio and see the mountains, which I'm not used to. It's just, you feel like you can get work done and be happy to be here every day, and hopefully our players feel the same way, because their facilities and their resources are as good as anywhere as you'll find. So I think our players are thrilled with it too.
You worked with Barrett Peary up at Portland State, and he's a native of Utah. Did you have a conversation with him at all before taking this job?
I did, yeah. He's been tremendous. He's been a great resource for me, just kind of bouncing questions off of him and getting a better feel for it. Even when we were at Portland State together, just getting a better feel for Utah, because I'm not necessarily familiar with the area. But he's been awesome. He's obviously a native of Payson and knows the area well, and he's a big, big fan of this program, and he's wished me well at every step, so it's been great.
When it comes to not basketball, what are the things that you care about, the things that you value, things that bring you joy?
That's a small list. It's probably just my family. You know what I mean? Basketball has been it's just such a big part of not only my life but our life as our family. We've sacrificed a lot to be in this position. My wife in particular, not so much me, but my wife, and she's obviously a saint. And the things that she has put on the back burner, not only in her career but in her personal life, for us to be here and chasing my goal and my dreams, I'll never be able to thank her enough. So family first and foremost. And beyond that, I don't have much time for anything else. It's just focusing on how we can win and how we can compete for championships and what we can do every day to put ourselves in position to do that. So not a lot of time for anything else, unfortunately.
What do the next couple weeks and months look like now that you're here and you're getting acclimated to your new role at BYU?
Just a lot of recruiting. If I can learn a little bit more about the city and the surrounding areas, that's great. Hopefully my wife can find us a house. But beyond that, I'm going to be immersed in recruiting and getting to know our players and getting with them every chance I get. I was fortunate enough to meet some of the guys here today for the first time, which was awesome in person. Just want to be around them. Let them see me, let them get to know me a little bit. So that and recruiting, man, that's really, really it for these next couple weeks.
One more question. What do you know about, you touched on, you just met a couple of the players recently as you're coming in and whatnot. What do you know about kind of some of the guys and the style of play, and how do you feel like you can sort of help the guys that are here, I guess, improving it better?
Yeah, I think player development is something that I've really, really tried to develop in my own personal arsenal in my bag. And that's something I want to help all these guys with, whether it's Trey, whether it's Foose, whether it's Atiki, Trevin, Spencer, returning missionaries, all these guys, obviously they're going to be kind of getting ready. Trevin's in the back.
You got the fist back here. They're like, Kahil, give it a good save. Good save.
So, yeah, I mean, these are guys that I cannot wait to work with and get my hands on and get them on the floor and just get a feel for how they work and how they're coached and all that kind of stuff, man, and vice versa, right? Like my cadence and how I talk to the guys and how I get them going on the floor, and I can be a little bit less friendly on the floor than I am here, you know what I mean? So it takes getting used to for all parties, so I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, guys. Coach Pope's gonna take your spot.